Ayo, what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and today we're going to be talking about the MLS in the FIFA franchise. I think it's time to take a good hard look and put it all out there and just kind of talk about what is going on with the MLS in FIFA. And if you've been around my channel for any length of time, you probably know I'm a big supporter of the MLS. My favorite team plays in the MLS, and I've been involved with MLS things for quite some time, including career mode series in FIFA featuring MLS teams. And today we're going to break it down and have a look forward to FIFA 18 in what hopes to be a turnaround for the MLS in the FIFA franchise. To start off with, let's take it back to FIFA 16 for a second. In FIFA 16, the MLS was okay. It wasn't perfect, but at the very least it was playable. In fact, one of my favorite career mode series that I had ever done was in FIFA 16 in the MLS featuring Orlando City. That series went off without a hitch. Again, it wasn't perfect. There were still some things that didn't make sense and I didn't really like about it, and it had to do with the way that the game is coded for the career mode option, the career mode experience in FIFA, and it doesn't really fit with how the MLS is run in real life. But nonetheless, the career mode series, like I said, one of my favorites that I had ever done. And part of the reason for that was that the budgets were very, very small for the MLS in FIFA 16. I think they started off with around $4 or $5 million, which is not a lot. And that is a better representation for the MLS as far as how much teams actually spend in a given year in the transfer windows. In FIFA 17, moving forward, you had teams with upwards of $20 million transfer budgets. And while that might actually be realistic, maybe these teams do have $20 million to spend, there has never been a team in the MLS that spent anywhere near $20 million in a transfer window or over the course of a season through 2 transfer windows. It just doesn't happen. The players that the MLS brings in are bought on a budget, and you have to be savvy with your funds to build a good team in the MLS with the rules that the MLS have in place, which I don't expect to be transferred over to FIFA. I don't expect there to be a designated player rule or a salary cap. However, just reducing the budget back down to around $5, $6, $7 million to start out with, depending on what team you start out with. I mean, some teams do have more money than others and do spend more money than others. I think would be a really, really good start. That is the number one thing that is broken in FIFA. I should not be starting out a career mode series with any team and being able to go out and buy a player for $15 million. That just shouldn't happen in the MLS. Following along with the money trend here, another complete game-breaking feature in the MLS is player salaries. This one, maybe more so than the transfer budget, makes the MLS just completely broken if you're trying to do a somewhat realistic MLS career mode. And let's take, for example, the best example that I could possibly think of here. Let's take a look at Clint Drew Dempsey for the Seattle Sounders. He has a reported annual salary of $3.8 million. We'll call it $4 million for the sake of, even numbers. $4 million he's making in 2017. Divided out over 52 weeks in a year, that makes him about 76.9, I'll call it $77,000 per week. That should be what his salary is. In FIFA, he's making $13,000 per week. For a team that has a transfer budget, as you can see, of almost $20 million, why would they be paying their star player and the most expensive player on the team, which he is in real life as well, only $13,000 per week? It doesn't make sense. And again, it makes it too easy to acquire players in the MLS. These salaries are completely unrealistic. They should have at least close to what they're realistically making. Dempsey should be on $60,000 to $70,000 per week in wages in FIFA if that's about what he's making in real life. Why dumb the numbers down for the MLS? How does that make any sense? And again, if you're trying to do a career mode that's, somewhat close to realistic, why does he only have to? It makes it so difficult to do anything with these MLS teams. The second thing that needs to be fixed for the MLS is the scheduling, and there's actually more than one thing wrong with the scheduling if you're going to be doing an MLS career mode. So let's get in here and break this thing down. So when you jump into your first day in your new job with an MLS team, you begin your career on February 1st. Now you may notice that is not a transfer window. In any other league that you start a career mode with, you start in the summer and you have the months of July and August, the summer transfer window, to begin your team. And that's pretty helpful if you want some contracts off your books, make a couple of moves, bring a couple of players in. Not in the MLS. You have to wait a full 5 months until that summer transfer window starts in July to then start making your moves. And what that means is that you have a full month in February where nothing actually happens. What's the point in that? Why do that at all? Oh, seriously, how does that make any sense? If you're going to start before the MLS season begins, why not start it in January? What's it going to hurt to move it back 1 month? It hurts absolutely nothing, and then you get to start with the transfer window. You still have a dead month of February where nothing's going to happen. Maybe throw in a couple of preseason games for the MLS. Just the thought. I don't know. I know you can do a preseason tournament. Maybe if you partake in that, you can do that during the month of February as well. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever to start the career mode in the month of February. The other part that I'm going to group into scheduling, because I really don't have anywhere else to put this, anywhere else to categorize this, is the absolute lack of any kind of continental competition for the MLS. Now, I know that probably the main reason for this is that the CONCACAF Champions League, in which the MLS takes part, is made up of leagues and countries and teams that are not in FIFA. All that we have for the CONCACAF Champions League would be the United States, the MLS, and Mexico. And even if that's all that they gave us, give us something. That's all I'm asking. Just give us some kind of continental competition, even if it's just the MLS and the Liga MX. I'm fine with that. Something that would probably be a little bit better was if they took all of the teams from North, Central, and South America and turned that into a Champions League competition. Unrealistic? Yeah, I don't really see an MLS team such as, I don't know, Toronto flying all the way down to Brazil to compete in a continental competition, or vice versa. However, it would be nice for the MLS to have some kind of continental competition, some kind of Champions League to take part in. I think even Mexico in FIFA has the Copa Libertadores, even though it's not called that. They have something. The MLS is one of the only leagues in the game that has absolutely nothing to compete in. Now, one thing that is clearly lacking in FIFA, but is more evident in the MLS, if you enjoy yourself a good young American player like I do on your team, is the complete lack of any kind of youth academy for any CPU team. Every once in a while, there will be a young player here or there, mostly in Europe, that will come through a youth academy, and you may consider buying them. But as far as young Americans go, especially in the MLS, no, nothing. There's no future Clint Dempseys or Landon Donovans or Tim Howards coming through the MLS ranks. No, nothing at all. And there's no Americans. Forget Canada. All right, there's some decent Canadians coming through the MLS now with Balu Tabla in Toronto and Alphonso Davies in Vancouver. If you're looking for Canadian players, just forget it. Just quit FIFA now, because you're never going to find a good young Canadian player. And I mean, you can't even find a good American player. How are you going to find a Canadian? It's impossible. Like, is it so unrealistic to see a young American player come through a youth academy? I mean, just give these CPU teams some kind of a youth academy. That would be very, very nice. You could actually maybe swing a deal for a young player, maybe find a hidden gem somewhere. That would give it a little bit more depth. And now we've come to the last issue that I want to talk about. And this is the big one. I can deal with the absurd transfer budgets and the ridiculously low wages that the players make, and even the fact that there are no youth academies and that the scheduling is ridiculous and everything like that. This one pisses me off beyond belief, and it is the fact that despite these huge transfer budgets, MLS teams never buy any players ever. You will never see an MLS team buy at least a somewhat decent player. They'll get a couple of role players here and there, mostly low 60s, maybe even mid 50s rated. You'll never see them buy someone that's 70 rated or above. Never gonna happen. With these huge transfer budgets that they gave them in FIFA 17, they never buy a player. What the actual hell is that? It makes the MLS it's completely obsolete. There's no point in doing a career mode in the MLS if the other MLS teams refuse to make themselves better. You got a $20 million transfer budget that you know that you're going to spend. I mean, even if you try not to, it's hard not to spend that kind of money, meaning you're going to have a really, really good team in the MLS while the rest of the league is doing absolutely nothing with their money. And that is the number one reason why it's impossible to do a halfway decent career mode in the MLS. They have got to fix that first. And it's got to be just a minor tweak in the coding. Instead of typing in allow MLS teams to make transfers, no, change it to yes, and allow the damn teams to buy some players. Now, there are a couple of other smaller grievances that I do have, and I know some of you guys have these as well, such as the imaging rights, not having a lot of authentic stadiums to play in the MLS, and real player faces would be nice for some players in the league, at least for more of the more notable stars. I mean, the bigger stars already have them. Giovinco, Dempsey, you know, the big players have real player faces, and that's great. But, I mean, can we at least get decent looking player models for some of the lesser players? I can't take looking at a goofy looking player model for Jordan Morris anymore, where he looks like a 40-year-old washed up surfer. And then they updated it like halfway into FIFA, and then he looks like a hipster doofus. Like, the two models don't look anything alike, and neither one of them actually look like Jordan Morris. Could you make it, just give me a little bit of effort on that front, where if you're not going to give me a real player face, at least make it so that I believe that I actually have Jordan Morris on my team and not some random dude I picked up off of a beach. Also, maybe you don't give every player that you're not going to do some in-depth research on and give them their proper stars for skill moves and weak foot. Maybe you don't give them all just 3-star skills and 3-star weak foot, because that's a little bit dumb. I mean, come on. Put a little bit of effort in, at least make an educated guess. I don't think over half of the MLS has 3-star skills and 3-star weak foot. They're not all the damn same, okay? It's not everybody's not a generic player. Give me a break, man. Do a little bit more research. If you need, I'll give you my phone number. EA devs, give me a call. I will help you out. I will give you at least a good base model to go off of for each player. I'll give you some input. Just do a little bit more research, and don't make every player in the entire world have 3-star weak foot and 3-star skills just because you don't want to do the research. So with FIFA 18 close on the horizon, I guess all we can really do is hope and pray. I mean, it's rare enough for anything to get fixed from one FIFA to the next for career mode in general, or adding in new features at all. I guess it might be just a waste of breath to hope that anything in the MLS will actually get fixed and you know, actually represent the league the way it should be. I mean, it's not even the fact that I can't do a legitimate series in the MLS. Yes, that does frustrate me. Obviously, you can see it on my face and in my voice. That does piss me off quite a bit, but it's the fact that the league is so misrepresented. It's almost insulting. It's like they just went, you know, give them this much money, give the players these wages, give them all 3-star skills, 3-star weak foot, because you know what? Nobody really cares. Nobody's gonna say anything. It's the MLS. This isn't Europe. There's no, you know, this isn't the Premier League. This isn't La Liga. There's no Ronaldo. There's no Messi here. Just give them some stuff and they'll be happy. But you know what? We do notice, and we're not happy with it. And I would really, really like it to be changed, just as a, you know, just as a sign of respect to the MLS. Just do them right. Do right by the MLS, please, and allow those MLS fans to actually have a decent career mode experience. But if I left anything out, let me know in the comments below. I'm eager to see what you guys have to say and what you think needs to be fixed in FIFA 18. And here's hoping that somebody somewhere notices and gives us a little something. Just give us a little, just tweak it a little bit, and allow us to have an MLS career mode series. So that's it for this one. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you guys in FIFA 18. See ya.